All right. First time live on YouTube. Kiza, how you doing?
Good, mate. Good. Happy to be live. What a momentous day in the hobby. Fantastic time to be here to have a chat with everyone.
Oh, the energy is so high. So high.
It is. It's popping off. Yeah, we've been waiting a long time for this.
All righty, everybody, and welcome. So this is our second form of show here on Powerfist, and this show is called Saturday Night Lodge, where we gather a panel of guests from around the world and discuss everything to do with heresy. So this show will be semi-regular, as opposed to our short form Heresy on the Drive Home, which will be the more regular version. However, it gets a chance for us to connect with other people and community members all around the world and bring together some awesome heresy discussion. So, without further ado, Kieran, let's bring our first guests in for the inaugural Saturday Night Lodge. Welcome, Tom and Will from the Merchant Princelings.
Happy to be here, boys.
Thanks, guys. Yeah. It's truly a pleasure.
Hang on a minute. There's three Princelings. Where's the third
one? He's someone suggested that as per the thumbnail that you've put on your YouTube, it's like us four and then a Saturnine guy. So we think Giles has chopped his legs off and interred himself into a Saturnine Terminator suit, and there he shall remain forevermore.
It could be the only explanation. It must be the only explanation.
Yeah, it's nothing to do with the fact that he signed up for an Old World event when he was full of beans for Old World, and then has had to sit through sort of 2 hours of heresy chat, and then force himself to wake up and go and defend the farm when all he wants to do is defend the gates of terror.
I can just imagine him bent over the table, thinking about High Elves rules. And he's just got a massive heresy tent in his pants.
Rotating cannons into trees and being like, I can now shoot through the trees. Yeah, fuck off.
He just won his first, he's just let us know, he's just won his first game 20-0 or whatever it is. So a resounding victory. And I can imagine that poor chump, whoever it is just taken the full length of Giles in retaliation for not being a game of heresy.
Maximum pipe, yeah.
Well, he's sorely missed, but we're just going to have loads of fun without him anyway. So, Giles, tough titties, my friend. Welcome to everyone in the chat as well. We've got the chat going.
Gosh, we've got live YouTube chat. That's insane. We're so behind.
How good is that? All right, feel free chat to chime in as we go. Give us your thoughts and. If there's a very interesting comment or whatever, we can bring that up and talk about that as well. But gentlemen, we're here for one reason and one reason only. And I think I have to start by saying that credit is where credit is due. G-Dubs hit this one hard. It was, in my opinion, probably the best preview that we've seen in this sort of online preview era. Would that be a fair assessment?
Certainly for Heresy, I think it's definitely the best Heresy one that we've seen. A few comments yesterday basically revolving around the fact that it was maybe as much information dispersed in an hour's format as we would have gotten at an old weekender, short of private conversations with designers and things. So that's at least a step in the right direction. I do think some of these live preview shows have been excellent for like the reveal of Age of Sigmar 2.0 and 10th edition 40k. They've been huge and bombastic and brave, and they've shown us lots. And you can tell that they're interested. But for Heresy, maybe there's a feel of it's always been sort of the dark horse and the red-headed stepchild of the family of games. So to actually see three people who. And we know that those three people play either, if they don't actively play Heresy, they have Heresy armies. They're interested in the lore. They're interested in the game. They'll have a vested interest to be able to talk about it. So to see them be able to produce what they produced last night and show us what they did was awesome. Way beyond, I think, anyone's like wildest.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. Tom, I was kind of speechless when like Valdor appeared and Janisha. I was a bit like, oh, hang on, they're actually taking this seriously. It
100%.
was amazing to see. It was really, really good. It was.
And they pulled Jonathan Keeble out of the retirement closet.
They got a boy in. Do you know what I mean?
Big up Jay Keebs.
Yeah.
yeah. Big up the Keebsmeister. When when he's brought in, it's fucking something special. It's like when the BBC wheels out David Attenborough. It's serious, isn't it? It's something good.
Serious, yeah. Big plays, yeah. Moving plays.
So first up, they showed us the cinematic trailer, right? And you mentioned Valdor and Janisha Kroll. What was, I think, really awesome to see about this trailer was it wasn't just a whole bunch of like Mark 6 mooks fighting, just pure action and fighting one another. There was like a degree of world building within the trailer to sort of arc out where the setting is, what time period, who's involved. I thought that aspect was sick. I really appreciated it.
Yeah, it was really, really amazing to see, like all the artwork that had gone into that as well. Valdor like talking of the map as well, and with Janisha doing the thought mark as well was a really lovely touch. It was, and then Malcador rocking up as well, like having a little chuckle. Like I thought it was, it
really showed someone who's commissioned that to be made really gives a shit. Because
I think that's a good point. Yeah.
The intention to put thought mark in and make it complicated, to have Valdor talk in kind of his cryptic things, and also for anyone who's sort of paying attention, Valdor is going to be a huge component of 40k lore going forwards. So
true.
It wraps Valdor into being this more of a main character than previous editions or previous books have sort of had him down as. Malcador, that's going to bring out everyone's nostalgia. Although it's not like, stay a while and listen. It's like a weird new voice.
Diablo 2-esque, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. It's always what I thought him to be.
Yeah.
When we did see Malcador, I was just waiting for him to say, "I'm very old and I'm very..."
With a little stick hobbling around. Yeah. Very old and very tired. Yeah.
That's how I imagine Jonathan Keeble is after doing sort of 50 odd heresy books. Like, fancy doing one more animation, and he's like, I'll do an animation and no fucking more. All right,
I can't.
I'm very old.
I've got nothing left.
Yeah.
Do you guys remember when there was a swirling rumor around that Johnny Keeves had like a 10,000 point World Eaters army?
It's 15k now after he's added all the Saturnine.
Yeah. You can tell because like when we asked him, and we haven't really spoken about this on the show, but when we asked him to do the ident intro for our show, and Giles like messaged him,
came this close to sucking him off. And Johnny Keeves was just like, oh cool, I don't really give a shit. Here's 4 like la 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 la. I'm Malcador. I'm Angron. I'm a demon. Merchant Princelings, whatever the fuck they are. Bye. It's like done in 20 minutes because he just didn't give a shit, Fucking awesome.
How good is that?
Oh, it's amazing.
So, of course, what we're going to talk about is the models. Now, they previewed the leaked box. Now, before I bring up the proper, clear images of the models, what did we all think about the leaked photos, and what was your first impression?
I feel like this is going to be 3 against 1.
Yeah, it might be, mightn't it? Yeah.
I feel like the Saturnine no one really liked, and I think people who did were sort of telling themselves that they did and needed them to, because Saturnine is going to be part of your life going forward, whether you like it or not. So I think a lot of people who were like, they're okay, like, oh, I like them, they would like the artwork. They're different enough from other people's sculpts to enjoy them.
Agreed.
But realistically, they are what they are. They were quite polarizing, to say the least. I think I was the only person who wasn't that bothered about Mark II. I feel like that's changed now. I've seen actual photos, but I wasn't that bothered by them.
Yeah.
No one was talking about the turret.
Oh, I mean, it's just a glorified tarantula, isn't it? So fine, yeah. But I think like it's very hard to have any sort of informed decision about anything when you're just going off the leaks that were like provided to us. And personally, I thought it all looked trash, but upon seeing more of it, it's actually grown quite a lot on me. And the Mark IIs, especially when there was one preview that was painted as a White Scar, I was like, oh my god, like,
Told you,
amazing.
Adam. Told you about the White Scar.
Looked so good. And I think as well, maybe the Salamanders and the Iron Warriors weren't the best choice to preview. Well, just because you're going to have hazard stripes on the big flat plates and flames. But I think as more people paint them, we see them, conversions, posing. I think they will grow on people. And it's fair to be said as well, when you actually have it in your hand and you see it, like, it changes a lot. So
absolutely. Kieran, what do you think?
Yeah, I was pretty disappointed when I first saw the leaks. I was not impressed at all. Like, the Mark II was kind of better than I was fearing, but the Saturnine stuff just looked like trash to me. I'm still not fully sold on it, but I'm guessing we'll have a look at the pictures. But the recent pictures that we had this morning or last night are definitely much better than what I was fearing. And I think, with a bit of conversion work, like especially the Praetor has a bit more potential than I thought. I was hating on that one hard, but I'm happy with the Mark II. It's probably my favorite of the plastic armor marks so far.
Yeah, I think I'd agree with you, Kieran.
Oh, that's bold. Okay.
Definitely. So I'm really happy with that. And that Assault Marine that we saw, the Mark II Assault Marine, I think that's probably my favorite plastic kit of all of the plastic kits so far. So it just looks more brutal. It's got that kind of brutal aesthetic that kind of has
the
that
size of
heresy,
the axe and stuff.
That heresy feel. Yeah, I don't know. The axe is a bit over the top, but the chest plate, the helmet, it all kind of really looks like old school heresy, just updated, better proportions and scale. So I'm really loving that.
Yeah, I think, I had the immediate knee-jerk, utter-disgust reaction to the Saturnine leaks. I mean, that's softened now that we've kind of seen a bit more, but I think it's more, for me, it was more of what Saturnine represented in the game going forward. It's more dynamic in introducing new dynamics into army selection. They're going to influence the game moving forward. There will be quite a large Saturnine presence in the game from this point on, especially, with the prevalence of them being in the starter box. They're going to be everywhere. So it's more about, for me, it was more about what that means for the game rather than the actual models, because really beauty's in the eye of the beholder. If you want to make Saturnine termies, you'll make them or convert them to your own liking.
Correct.
Did you guys
Saturnine termies? Sorry, Tom.
Did you guys,
when you look at this new things that they show you, like, no one really in the Heresy community paints the way that GW paints them. Not many people, so maybe beginners and entrant people. So whenever you see a tank or an infantry kit or a character, I always try and imagine how certain people are going to paint them. So if I see a console, I always think, how's Kieran going to paint this? How's it going to look when Kieran's painted this? Because it's going to look very different to GW. Yeah. When I see something that should be weathered, I think, how's Ollie going to paint this? Because that will be when it looks perfect. How's Ollie going to do it? If I see some like big Primarch or something, I think, how's Rob going to paint this? And then once sort of some totemic people in the community have painted it, then you can sort of judge how it's going to actually look on your tabletops. If you see a demon, how is Neil from Attrition going to paint that demon to make it look in the Heresy aesthetic? Because what you're not going to see are Salamander's Saturnine painted that way on the tabletop ever. You're just not going to see it. So you're never going to see a drab olive green, whatever that color's called, with edge highlighted, with those amazing flame effect on the shoulders. You're going to see a different version of those flame effect shoulders with a darker green, and then weathered in the way that Heresy is weathered and shown. And then I think that those models, in my mind's eye, look way better. And I don't mind them appearing on the tabletop, because they're just going to look so much different to the way GW has sort of presented them.
Yeah, I agree with that. And I feel like assembly is another important part. Like, sometimes I feel like the official display models are kind of put together a little strangely, even though, they kind of bash them together straight out of the box. But yeah, like sometimes, like, just a little bit of green stuff like under a helmet to kind of push it up a little bit further, or under shoulder plates to push them a little higher, or just, slightly putting things together a little bit differently can often make quite a large difference to how things look in the end. So you are right. You really have to have those models in your own kind of hands to make a final call on them, for sure.
And I don't think that Salamander's scheme in the box art does the models any favors whatsoever. It's
Unfortunately,
no. I respect that they've gone a darker olive
flat
green rather than like a scorpion green.
Yeah, but it's quite
Still,
flat.
it's not. Yeah, you're right.
All right, but there are some good schemes.
Whoa!
There we go.
Let's get
The White Star. So that White Star just is so good, man. I just think that's amazing.
All three of these look so much better than what is portrayed in the box.
Completely.
I think the fists as well really help.
Yes,
I think
they've got fist
double
wheel,
gun
exactly.
changes a lot to actually having that fist and gun. It looks, and I think what you were saying,
100%.
Kieran, as well is completely true. They are just one pose, aren't they? But as soon as you start getting legs forward, knees back, like one side pushing and the other like pulling, I think it will change a lot. Yeah,
people would definitely, be able to do some magic with these guys to make them look a little bit more mobile and less like static armigers or something like that. The brutality of that Iron Hands. That's a really nice Iron Hands scheme actually from the studio.
It's nice.
I don't hate that at all. It looks quite nice. The dark metallic compared to sort of the brass and the lighter metallic on the Iron Hands, the Iron Warriors really sells it. I just think they look fucking awesome, man. Way better than the Potato Cam led us to believe.
Definitely.
That alternate head on the Iron Warriors one, I don't know if you guys can see it, but it is fucking brutal. It is way cooler than the one in the box art.
It just begs the question: why didn't they lead with that head? Because it's so superior to the others. It is absolutely brilliant. Yeah.
They often do that, Will. They often assemble things and you don't realize how good some of the parts are until you get the kit. Like some of these frames these days, like the Command Squad frame and some of the new Emperor's Children have so many options on them. You don't see the good ones until you actually get them in hand. Like for whatever reason, they pick weird options. And like you were saying with the fist, I think that's so important. Like when they've got the double guns and they look like double amputees, it's just a strange look. Having like fists and combat weapons make them look more kind of real, which is fantastic. I like. And especially with the Praetor, that's what makes him look better. He's got two kind of proper hands, proper arms on him. I think it's just that assembly thing again.
They've got a weird anatomical look to them. That it's completely new design language for Heresy. There's a real lack of like soft armor joins that we normally see, or that ribbed, soft armor in between panels, and they've got ball joints. And from those leaked photos, it really made it look a little bit toy-like, right? Because everything on a limb is connected by a ball joint, which kind of seems a little lazy in approach.
They look like dreadnoughts, dreadnoughts or mech.
Yeah, so that was really kind of perplexing at the start. Obviously, we've got a bit more detail now, and we can sort of see how it works. However, I still have little issues with like the arms being too long, like the hands are swinging down past the knees in some instances, and that's just way too gorilla looking.
I was just thinking that, like, I think the plasma cannon, especially on the White Sky, if you raise that up a bit, so it was less like hanging and more almost being held, it probably would add a bit to it as well, because it is like almost knee height, isn't it? And
it's like shooting the hip almost,
bring it up a bit, and I think it will add a lot to it. Actually saying that, kind of like Contemptors, I suppose, because the guns are so high up, it like adds a lot to it. And from what you were saying about it looking like a dreadnought almost, if you bring the gun up, maybe it would work a bit. It would sit a bit nicer. So
It has something to do with the profile of the shoulders, I think. If we have a look at just quickly, we aren't real big fans of the actual Saturnine Praetor with the hammer. Is that right, Tom?
Oh my god, yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
No, I don't think anyone really liked that model.
They showed this one on the stream, made out of the Praetor kit, and it looks like a completely different.
It is almost one of those things where like a Karen would complain under the Trade Descriptions Act under what the fuck, because if you tried to sell the Saturnine box with only the picture of the hammer guy, and they try and call the hammer something special, like the Saturnine hammer, blah blah blah. It's fucking ridiculous, right?
Of justice, yeah.
Yeah, the hammer of justice. Yes, it's too much. It's way too much, and it looks so silly. If you'd have stuck this guy on the front, it'd have sold many people straight away, because it's just such a sick pose. The axe is awesome. How he's holding it is awesome. The little plasma thing is great, but the little OSL on the joints on the fist looks really nice. The tabard looks better. There's some nods towards First Company in there as well, so it gets like people like me, like the iconography nerds, really hard for it. There's plenty of script work to write all the fucking things that Imperial Fists need to write down on. It's just such a better model to show.
And you can really easily see the proportions and anatomical structure of this one, right? So underneath those massive pauldrons that really sit above the shoulders, they're almost like Brock Lesnar's neck, right? That's where they kind of sit. Like his actual shoulders are lower. That's that little black pauldron sitting underneath the huge cow either side. And when you look at those shoulders in relation to the rest of the head and the body and stuff, proportion-wise, it's actually not that bad, and it looks quite good.
Yeah. I think as well, the models are so top-heavy. Adding the tabard in between the legs, it gives it more of that like downward weight as well.
Grounds it a lot.
It kind of makes it like more unified across it, rather than the non-character ones where they have skipped every leg day they've ever been told to do. Like, they've just been.
It covers up those ugly ball joints, and fills out that skinny kind of waist that they have, which is perfect. I think that little tabard and the belt piece is like what makes that model. And also what I like so much about it is that kind of 3/4 kind of angle that we're seeing, and I think that makes a big difference to the model as well. It's kind of it's less boxy and square, and you can see a little bit of the the shoulder, how it actually fits into the armor, and it looks much more natural than it appeared from the front. So I think it's that 3/4 angle. Weight. Yeah, exactly. It looks more realistic, like it could actually be like that walking tank kind of character. And just fixing up that hip area is so important. So anything with like leather straps or like big belts or kind of tabards, I think will make a huge difference to these models. I think that's kind of pretty essential to it, actually, really.
Yeah. As soon as the Heresy community gets to grips with some of these, you're going to see some. So I think you're going to see some great conversions, some great additions, and some great work to them. Yeah. Because this guy is testament to what they can be, which is just brilliant.
If you imagine this in something like this model, in something like, I know I use them as an idea earlier on, but if you imagine someone like Ollie getting hold of this and making it a World Eater, changing that axe to be a big chain axe, and then having the iron halo be, sort of corroded and bloody, having blood on the tabard with like some spot colors here and there, and having, just some iconography around it. It's just going to look so good when that is weathered and made into how this looks Imperial Fist with the script and the black tabard and everything. Once people have put their own little spin on it to make it look more fitting in their legion. My instant reaction was to turn this into a Sons of Horus and change that iron halo with Malagurst's banner, right? The eye that thing he holds. Just have that on top instead would look so fucking sick, man.
It'll be the right size because this guy's a fucking monster.
Before today, I had no interest in the Saturnine, but now I want to get some like just to see what I can do with them. I'm still not sold on it, but I want to give it a try now. Whereas, before today, I was just like, nah, not even interested.
I'm with you, Kieran. After seeing this model especially, I'm like, yeah, okay, I can cook with this.
Not sold, but let's see what we can do, yeah. Put a bear,
maybe just buy 6 of these
head in there. And
All right, so
just 6 guys with axes, yeah.
Are we going to start seeing Saturnine Praetors fucking everywhere?
Yeah, 100%.
From the sounds of it, yeah.
Depending on their rules and stuff, like I think they're going to have deep strike, right? They've got those teleport transponders on them, so they don't need a big transport. But we'll have to see what their transport, what their bulk is and all that kind of thing for transport.
It depends what a Praetor does for you in the rules, right? Because in 2.0, you brought a Praetor for rules. It depends whether there's a Saturnine console. If you can't put a Delegatus in Saturnine armor, or you can't put an Opte or whatever into Saturnine armor, and it has to be a Praetor in Saturnine armor, and it will depend what a Praetor does for you. If there's Rites of Wars to unlock, then maybe. But if there's no more Rites of War, like the Warhammer articles are saying, it's a more free list building experience, then maybe you won't need a Praetor. Mm-hmm. So why are you bringing a big, probably 300, 400 point beat stick? What are the reasons you're doing that for? I think you will see it more than you saw the Age of Darkness characters, because they were crap. So I think you'll see this more than them, but it will depend on what a Praetor can do for you in the list building.
Yeah, you're right. They said there's going to be a lot more freedom with that list building, but they also said that you'll be rewarded for taking more balanced lists with kind of more generic characters and generic units. So I'm guessing that a Praetor, like even if he doesn't have access to Rites of War, he'll have better like command of your army. So he'll give your army better bonuses to their 5 different tests or whatever they have now, and he might be able to unpin troops or rally troops or do something like that, or make troops react better. So I'm guessing like even if they get rid of the Rites of War from Master of the Legion, then there'll be some other kind of aspect to compensate for that.
Well, in the turn through, or the turnovers that they have, where the animation that shows all the pages in the preview video, there was a screenshot of the Saturnine Termes rules, and I think he's only moved 5, which, as we know, very important. This guy's very slow.
Doesn't matter if
he's running
3.
Yeah.
If he deep strikes 9 inches away from you, it doesn't matter.
9 inches? Surely it's just like an inch away, Tom.
Oh, I'm thinking I've played too much 40k. Fuck my life.
Get out.
That's the problem now. If it's 9 inches now, everyone's going to assume I've got the fucking book. I don't.
Yeah.
Matt's saying in the chat it might be 4 inches. That'd be mental.
Yeah, Matt's just always got 4 inches on the brain. That's the problem.
Yeah.
Lucky boy.
lucky Mrs. Fuller. Yeah.
So that's got to bring us to the big stonker, of course.
Jeez.
Oh, I'm back. I don't know what happened there.
You're back, Tom. What happened?
I saw the Dreadnought and just keeled over. This is probably the most trash scheme that you could have put this guy in. I respect on the shoulder pads, right? I know that, Adam, you're going to have feelings about the lava effect on the shoulder pads, but
it needs way more lava. It needs way more dragons. It needs way more scales.
Where are the dinosaur
on
skulls?
a lava base?
Yeah, where's the lizardman skull in between the two? Someone's going to put a fucking great lizardman skull in between those two things. You know it.
Oh, yeah.
I can't wait to see the first bear head in that dreadnought. Yeah.
Maybe it's just too small. Maybe they just should have just made it bigger. They should have just got Imperial Knight size. Just ramp it up.
Yeah.
Oh god. Yeah.
Well, the size begs the question of where it's actually going to sit, army selection wise too.
Oh,
I mean,
interesting. Yeah.
We're going to be making armies in different ways now. But where do you think this may sit? It's got to be heavy.
It's going to have to.
I don't think this is a Lord of War, right? I think this is a heavy.
It's got to be heavy.
Yeah. I don't think it's a Lord of War. So It's got to be a heavy. It's not going to be an elite. It's going to be just a selection of one. I don't think there's going to be units of 2 or 3 of these. I think it's just going to be a solo,
it might even be like a
solo
0 to 1. But
yeah. I mean, one thing that I did see last night. This is not my own thought, but if Heresy has sort of taken inspiration from other games that have done quite well in GW stables, such as Netcommander from the Stats, Arcane Journal type things for the campaign books. Maybe going forward, a speculation is that in thematic lists, you would build it the way you build thematic lists out of an Arcane Journal. So as Kieran would know, the list restrictions for Old World are they are restrictive. So maybe it's a case of, okay, you're bringing a salamander, you're bringing a thingy theme, whatever, insert whatever theme here. You can only bring in 3,000 points, 0 to 1 Saturnine Dreadnought. Or if you're bringing your Saturnine Rite of War, you have to bring 1 and you can have a maximum of 3 or whatever.
Yeah, true. The community might take it upon itself, like it has done in Second Ed with Dreadnoughts anyway, and just early, like, if you can take multiple, just say 0 to 1 per 3,000 points, whatever. Do you know what I mean? 2,000 points. So,
I feel like they'll be pretty like unrestricted because they want to sell the model, right? So I think you might just not get all the bonuses you would get if you had a nice kind of rounded battle company style force, but I think they'll make it pretty easy for you to include as many of these big chonkers as you like. I can see a lot of them going around. And like Will was saying, I think that's going to be a big thing with, less restriction in list writing. That will be something that the community might want to look at as far as events are concerned. Like, obviously we give it a go fresh straight out of the book beforehand, but I think that might be something that we end up coming back to and having a look at just because everything's going to be a bit more freeform now. It's going to depend on the missions as well, and the different victory conditions and all that kind of thing. But
Primo boyfriend from Espana, Jose, says, "Imagine if that beast teleports." And I think there is in that trailer, the Dread teleports in.
Does. Yeah, it teleports in, and they sort of basically confirmed it. In that this is how these things get in. So I can imagine this is how. This thing is going to teleport. I'll put money on it.
Oh, mama. Yeah.
Mama. So model wise, now that we've got some clearer picks, are we still like, brother? What's up, brother?
Brother.
It's the worst model in the box.
Yeah, it's a no for me.
We haven't seen combat options yet, right? Like
true.
Combat option might make it a little bit better, but. I'm definitely not sold. I feel like it needs some like knee plates to cover up that joint. I don't know. It kind of just looks more like a Titan to me than it looks like it's straight out of AT rather than 30K.
It does beg the question of like if this is knight-ish sized or bigger than an Armiger-ish, then in the lore those things require teams and teams of people to look after it and maintain it and polish its turds and all the rest of it. Like. Just one tech marine looking after this, or just the dead guy inside? Like, how does it get into battle? Well, obviously it fucking teleports, so who fucking cares? But anything bigger than this requires teams of people to nurse it through its fucking crippled life in the lore. So this thing borders on the, how is the Legion maintaining this? I know it's Vulcan's gift, but Jesus Christ.
Before the Heresy, right, they've got legions of serfs and everything. And I think that's the same kind of idea with most dreadnoughts, right? You have like tech marines looking after them, but there'd be heaps of legion serfs doing like basic maintenance on it. So I'd imagine to be the same thing.
Yeah, you probably like that guy, that Blood Angel that's got that family who just bum him in the.
Yeah, it'd just make less sense like as the Heresy goes on and like, all the mortals die and that kind of thing. But I don't think
Jack Andrews O'Connell says it looks very Primaris Dread underneath the shoulders there.
Well, Jack may be right, but they went back on that, right? So the original Redemptor Dread kind of looks like this, and then they basically scrapped the Redemptor Dread and went back to a Brutalis Dread, which is just a scaled up box dreadnought, which looks awesome. So yeah, it kind of looks like abandoned Primaris, which is even worse.
Yeah, true.
You just said a lot of words there I didn't understand, but
go and search it on their terrible website, and then you'll be able to see.
and you'll never find anything.
You'll never find anything. No, I searched on their chieftains the other day to see if there was anything under there just for Sons of Horus and everything keywords, and it started coming up with literally any GW product they could find. Nothing to do, like pots of paint, bit of Lord of the Rings, fucking Necromunda things had nothing to do with chieftains. Jesus.
Yeah. Do you want to buy this book? Yeah, that'll have chieftain written in its 20,000 words somewhere.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It'll be interesting to see how it measures up size-wise to the Telemon. Like, I've seen people mention like using a Telemon instead, and Adam was definitely onto that straight away. That a Telemon might be a little counts as if you really, really, really need to have those rules in your army, but you just can't stand the model.
Yeah.
So we'll have to see.
I think they showed a Achilles or whatever they're called, the other dreadnought, Galatus dreadnought next to it, and it looked fucking tiny. Like it was ridiculous.
A little kiddie, wasn't it? Yeah. What do you guys think about the whole retcon of Saturnine, especially considering we've just had like Siege of Terror? So, like, from a lore perspective, the heresy has ended, essentially. And then they're going to release this new book, and it's the start of the heresy again. And to then put the Saturnine in as well, I mean, I'm super biased, I think, towards this, because do you know who would have had loads of this gear and would have improved it and made it look better? Your boy Ferris. But fuck off it. Yeah, fuck off it. But... like Ferris would have gone. These would have been in the first company, like 100%. Like
known for making really good decisions is Ferris Manus.
So you don't have any more of them. They're all gone, are they?
I'm not having any. So
the Morlocks would have been Saturnine.
There were 3 Morlock ones, and they're all fucking dead.
Man, imagine
the Mormongs.
Saturnine Terminator trying to run away from Angron on the Black Sands. Yeah.
Don't chase me, I'm full of chocolate.
Yeah, I don't know how I feel about it. I guess I'm fine with it. Like, I was more pissed off with the Mark 6 in 2nd edition being retconned into every single Legion all the time.
Every Legion.
And I suppose, now that that's happened, I'm just going to like, oh, whatever. Like, it's kind of broken the seal on, what I considered sacred from the Black Books, and now they can just do whatever they want to sell new models. So I guess it's fine, go for it, I suppose.
I mean, at some point there have probably been threads to this, if you think about a Sikaran Arcus or something, at some point that was a new model. The Leviathan was a new model at some point, and there was probably not in book 1, on in the Coral City, a Leviathan, a loyalist Emperor's Children Leviathan dreadnought, fucking rip this guy in half, and we're kind of like, at that time we were like a new heresy thing, support for the game, and we sort of loved it and absorbed it pretty easily. And now we're like, we're finished. Now we're going back to the beginning, it feels, with this fan, and we're like, okay, well, these guys were here all along. I respect that at least there was some effort to put into the thread, like these were Vulcan's gift, he did this. It's a reason why they're painted salamanders. There's at least some thought's been put into it. They weren't just like, nah, bro, they were here all along. Kind of like other other retcons that we could mention, which we won't. But you could sort of tell that there was at least a fumbling reason.
I suppose with the Saturnine, there wasn't that much information on them previously, right? So I'm less concerned about them kind of creating that fluff and adding it in, compared to, with the Mark 6, where they had established fluff that was written down in the Bibles, and then they changed it. So
everywhere as well, yeah.
Yeah, I'm more comfortable with new stuff being added in, like the example you gave of the Arcus and the Leviathan, new things that were added in that weren't ever mentioned at the start. And, now the Saturnine, I suppose it's kind of mentioned, but not really, compared to things that have been changed. Yeah, so I'm more kind of sanguine about that, I think.
All right, fair play. Yeah.
I think we also, over the heresy lifespan, in the last 5 years, since it's changed to that specialist games studio, whatever it is, right? You can really see the Rogue Trader influences coming back and influencing the game moving forward. not only from an aesthetics point of view and design language perspective, but also in the fluff and also starting to be represented in the rules as well. I mean, the rules previews that we'll go over later certainly call back to that era of, you know, more granular psychology tests and all that sort of more RPG based stuff, I guess. So if they're influenced so heavily by what has been in the past, they're going to have to rework that in somehow. So inevitably, if we as Heresy collectors want new things, it's got to come from somewhere, and somewhere along the line, it has to be kind of justified, right?
You kind of have to dig deep to explain to your consumer base why you're making things like say granular psychology, more statistics for people to remember. If it's to hark back and make the game feel like it did years ago or whatever, that's going to be really hard to do because a lot of people are stuck in their ways and not everyone is 20 again and all the rest of it. Like it's going to be harder to do. But if it comes across as cynical or it comes across as like placating the fuddy-duddy old grognards or whatever, then people will just people will get their backs up, man, and people will just get really salty about it. You know, like that, there have been quite a few people who are already like, I'm going to stick to, I'm going to go all the way back to 1.0. I'm going to stick in 2.0. I'm going to stick at 1.5. Good luck to that. But like, it's going to be really hard to justify to people why you're going back without that really coming across in the games. I think, you know, I think these statistics, we'll go over them later on, but I think that's really got to be explained. You know, it's got to be backed up by being interesting and not just a thing to, you know, put on the preview.
Yeah, there are grognards and then there are grognards, right? Like I consider myself a bit of a grognard, but that kind of rogue trader aesthetic on the models just goes back way further than, you know, I've been in the hobby. I've been, you know, in the hobby since the late 90s. And that's, you know, that predates that. And I don't know, man, like personally, I'm not a fan of the rogue trader aesthetic, the way they've changed the arm marks and all that kind of stuff. So that's definitely kind of one aspect of the hobby that you know, I really don't love. But I am happy that, like, you know, we got this you know, Saturnine armor rather than, you know, it has definitely been updated and it has that old rogue trader kind of vibe. But yeah, I don't know. It's just, yeah, I know it's Andy Hoare's kind of touch on the game and he loves that stuff.
It's
and
hard.
Those guys running the studio love it, but it's just, I don't know, for me, like Heresy, the pure Heresy is, you know, that first black book we got, that first run, like first edition kind of Heresy.
Oh, mama.
I'm a lot less interested in anything that came before that. And like, I'm a lot, you know, less interested in that rogue trader coming back around again. For me, it'll always be that kind of, that first edition aesthetic. And I think that's a lot of the reason why I love those Tortuga models still, because they kind of, they stick to that old aesthetic rather than kind of embracing the new old rogue trader kind of look. It's just, they're
got to be really careful if they are harkening back to all the rogue trader era stuff moving forward. It's delicate to toe that line between silly and serious, I think.
Yeah, like that shit's been left in the past for a reason, right? Like it looks crap now. So like, you know, they're coming back and trying to polish it and make it look good, and sometimes it works well, but like it's just risky for me. I'd rather they just polish the first edition stuff rather than trying to polish rogue trader stuff. You know, it's just,
I think everyone's going to have their little, you know, hang-ups about which edition or which entry into an edition you sort of most favour. People do it in 40k and every other game, you know. These are the things, you know, like some people really, really, really love the idea of having a rhino with the fucking handrails around it, you know, like a really old rhino, and put those kits back in. And some people like the land speed, you know, the sofa pattern land speeders, right? Like some people, it's like, yes, this is fucking what I want. And for some people, like, that's fucking dumb. They'll just knock them off, you know. So I think that's just, you know, horses for courses, right? There's almost an infinite amount of sculptability with 3D modeling nowadays that, you know, and you can see a Tortuga army, like you say, Kieran, you can spot a Tortuga army at Heresy event in the UK at Marloff.
Oh yeah,
And
yeah.
The scale just looks so much better, you know.
All right. The other mainstay of the box.
Well, I thought you were going to say javelins there. I was like, yeah,
javelins, yeah.
Second head, air everywhere. Yeah,
that's what Rob predicted in his lucid fucking moment. Didn't happen though. The only thing that didn't. These are fucking awesome.
Agree. They are fucking savage. I love them. And the disintegrators too. I thought I wasn't going to be a fan, but I'm coming around to them as well. And again, another Rogue Trader influence, right?
Another Rogue Trader influence. Another thing that still looks like a prototype weapon because I haven't quite figured out how to put the wires on the inside of casings yet. But
of course,
you know, it's another huge part of the game that they've expanded. Having the whole sprue in the box is going to be crazy. If that gun is good and people have got 20 of those guns in their starter armies and stuff, like fuck me, it's going to be another thing that everyone's going to have to adapt to and just sort of kind of work around.
What do you think it's going to do?
I don't think it's going to do instant death. I think it will just be a high damage factor, which will be the equivalent of an instant death. The gun's going to be brutal 3 or something.
That'll be the answer to Saturnine, right? Like, I think that's the idea. And it was super cool in the intro video. We got to see one firing on that Iron Warriors Centurions combi destroyer, combi whatever it was, firing that solid beam at the big Saturnine Dread, which was awesome. It's the first time we've seen one of those weapons in action, which is really cool. And like, they do look better than I feared, but I think every other weapon that we have so far still looks better. You know, like I think Volkite looks better still, Plasma looks better, Melter looks better. But, you know, I'll be interested to see what they do in the game. And I think they're going to be the answer to the Saturnine that everyone's going to have. So that starter box will just have kind of the new meta in it and the answer to that meta, which is good, I suppose.
Yeah, it gives you both, right? Especially if you split it. Like me and Giles might end up splitting this box. I'm trying to work on him. And I'll take the Saturnine, and then he can just murder me with Dreadwing disintegrator weapons, and that's fine.
Yeah, and I think, like I was saying earlier, this Plastic Mark II, it's my favorite of the new marks so far. I think I really didn't like the Mark III. I thought there was nothing redeeming about those models really, and the Mark VI was not that good either. It's a bit too far down the Rogue Trader kind of path for me. But this Mark II looks really, really nice. And, especially looking forward to the Assault Kit, which I think looks even better with the different torso plates, different chest plates, and different helmets. So I'm keen to, get some Games Workshop plastic infantry for the first time in a long time, which is good.
Madness to think. Madness, yeah.
Yeah, they look fantastic. I can't wait to add some to the Salamanders that I'm working on. I mean, I've already printed some versions for veterans that I'm working on at the moment, but it's going to be awesome just to have them in plastic, in bulk, in case I want to do some mooks, like some despoilers or something like that.
Yeah.
Just having 30, hopefully
30 of them. Yeah.
Go on.
Like having 30 of these just like tucked away in the drawer, ready to go, will just be absolutely brilliant for you want to do a new unit, bash, sorted. And the fact that they're compatible with everything else as well, with all the other stuff that GW's been releasing, I tip my hat because that is an amazing thing, an amazing play.
They keep saying
that
these
segmented armor is just going to take so well to like an oil or a pin wash. They're going to be really nice to paint as well. They've got more detail on them than the other marks that they've released so far. But I think like if you paint them in, with a clever kind of way with just some oil washes and that little pin wash, that's just going to make it pop so much quicker. And they'll take to dry brushing as well, a lot better than the other marks. So
I didn't think of that.
Even though they look more complex, I think they're still going to be very approachable for people just getting into the game as well.
Yeah.
What were you about to say?
I wonder about this whole pushing the veteran legionaries thing. It's obviously on the artwork and the pictures we've got here, and they mentioned it a few times yesterday, and vets are one of those things that in the last edition you did sort of see, but you didn't see a whole lot, and you certainly didn't see a lot of Pride armies that were just veterans. And I wonder now in the new game, I'm just going to find it quite interesting to see how vets play in, because the vet squad has always been a sort of like the precursor to what a 40k tactical squad was. So I'm interested to see whether vets can all have disintegrated weapons of some type, which it looks like they can, because otherwise they wouldn't show it. So there's like a heavy guy plus some other rifles plus a combi in the back there. Like, I wonder what role veterans are going to have in the new edition, and are they going to be a bit more user friendly?
Yeah, I agree.
The main problem why you didn't see too many veterans was more of a problem with Pride than veterans themselves, because veterans are fucking great.
Yeah,
but to only have two veteran units able to have line in a like most games 3,000 points, it's not enough line, especially in something like Cathonia missions. So I think that's where vets suffered a little bit. Had nothing to do with their unit entry, because point for point, vets, in my opinion, are absolutely fantastic. They're at that weapon skill 5 threshold, which is so important. And the amount of attacks that they can get as well, super handy. A unit of 10 is actually 20 wounds, so you've got that going as well. They look a little more sleeper than what they are. So vets as a unit, this edition I thought super cool, very versatile, but suffer in Pride, unfortunately.
Let's hope that some of those benefits carry on.
Yeah.
I hope you can still run vets as compulsory troops of some sort, because that is my plan.
You're going to be fucked otherwise, yeah.
Yeah, give me the box. I need to spray him green quick.
All right, and on the topic of Mark II, we cannot not talk about this guy. What a fucking awesome model.
That crest is unreal. I love it. It's the biggest crest you've ever seen. It's brilliant.
The helmet?
I need 10. The crest on the helmet. It's just insane.
Look at those little cog teeth on it, Will. That must be getting you a little bit excited.
Yeah. I've got a semi-lover coming out.
Crest.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah. He's at the half chub.
I'm just not sure about these fucking circles they kept putting in chains. Like, it was all over
medallions.
The medallions, like the second edition characters. Like there's one holding each of his shoulder clasps, like the cloak clasps, like that's fine. And then 2 rows of 3 coming down like either side of his big ogre belly plate. And I just don't know what they represent. I don't know where this came from. Like, are they? I don't know. I don't understand this medallion.
Maybe like honor medals. Yeah, they're like awards.
Do you reckon that's what they are? Awards type thing?
Yeah.
Oh, right. Definitely. Okay. Yeah. Oh, yeah. It's weird. There's some on the banner as well. Like.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you think you're going to see this guy run as a herald?
No, not the way he is. Like, if you gave him a banner, I wouldn't count that back banner as a herald's banner.
I bet other people will.
It's a Vexilla, right? Like,
yeah,
it's not a proper.
But people
banner.
Are scrubs.
How much better is this model though than the second edition plastic Praetors we got? I've still got them untouched on the frame. I haven't even looked at them when I got that box. To get the rules.
I've been trying to sell one of them for 3 years.
I see myself using though.
Pay someone to take it from you.
Yeah, that was shockers.
No one will buy
I've seen conversions where both of them have looked acceptable, but I think they've almost aged worse than the 2 out of the Kauth box. Like the Kauth Chaplain, you still see everywhere. The Kauth Terminator guy, maybe not so much, but the Kauth Chaplain still really fits in. Obviously, he's about to be overtaken in size when Mark IV eventually comes out, but you still see that character everywhere. But the Mark II character, the 2.0 characters or second characters, I don't think you're going to see them up and coming in new projects. Put it that way.
Yeah.
What I like about this guy too, just a simple arm swap, and he can be any console you choose, really.
Yeah, pretty much anything.
Yeah. Super.
He definitely suits some legions more than others, though, I think. Like, He's got that heavy kind of style on him that'll look perfect in, Iron Warriors, Iron Hands, Imperial Fists, kind of legions. He might look a bit strange he'd look very strange as a White Scar or probably an Emperor's Child or a Blood Angel. But yeah, he definitely suits some
even
legions more than
Ultramarines. Even Ultramarines is sort of pushing that to look.
Yeah, the chainmail's definitely got that more kind of brutal aesthetic rather than the classical kind of aesthetic you associate with Ultramarines for sure.
Yeah. But a sweet model nonetheless.
Yeah, super good.
Good job.
So that. Oh, actually, you know what I forgot? The big quad gun thing.
Fuck that thing.
Anyone want to say anything about the big cannon? Okay, I didn't think so.
It looks better. It looks better than I thought, but I'm still not like that keen on it.
What's
I don't know why you'd paint that when you could paint more Space Marines instead. Like it's like a terrain piece,
correct?
Right? Like
chuck
a few on the table and it will look sweet. A couple of bunkers or something, but
fortifications aren't for your army; they're for terrain.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, absolutely. Like if you're taking a defense line, like why have you got terrain in your army? Like what's going on?
the whole of Reading in the UK just fucking cried. Defense line meta.
Yeah.
So that's it for the box. We've got the rule book, of course, but what they did announce is that all 5 of these levers that we see here will be dropping all on the day of release.
Yeah.
Which is a big one because I know we've been talking privately about, here we go. We're going to get the 2 levers. The Astartes are going to have 6 to 12 months of lead time ahead of all these other factions. And then if we are working on the cycle thing of releases, you're going to have a number of armies that are only going to really play 2/3 or half in some instances of the edition. So it's great, I think, that we've got multiple armies, not just the legions, but we've got a few side bitch armies that are all being released on the day, which I think is awesome.
Yeah, because we are all Legion lovers primarily, so it's going to be nice for all the little other. Oh yeah, well, where am I Mechanicum? It'll be nice for them to all get something from the outset. I think it's a great play by G-Dubs as well, and I think it probably ties back to the fact that plastic has been universally rolled out across all the ranges now. So the fact that you can go into any Games Workshop now, and I think you can, and you can buy those things. If you buy it and then not be able to use it immediately, would just be so counterintuitive. So it's really great that this is coming. Yeah. I just think the cover art is strange on some of them, but I think that's just a personal choice.
Yeah, someone in the chat just said that it's crap, isn't it? Like, they just look like little toys on the front there. Like,
well, I think the part of the problem was in 2.0 or Heresy 2nd edition, I couldn't fucking tell the emblems apart from one another on the front cover.
Definitely.
So
in my app on my phone for Apple Books, and I'm scrolling through the PDFs, and I'm like, what the fuck is this one? I don't know. I need to see it now. When I see a big fat boy in his grey pajamas with his green helmet on, with his big tooth, like Simpsons old 90s tooth brace on, like, oh good, I'll see the Auxilia one, But I think there's, you can sort of glean some information out of this. So if Liber Questoris is enough to make a whole book out of going forward, whether they've got the Chaos Knights in there, which I'm sure they did because they brought rules out for Chaos Knights. I'm sure they're still in there. Chaos Knights are about to be a big thing in 40k as well with new kits. So I'm sure there's rules for them in there as well. That's good that they're their own army. And I'm hoping that it means that EOs will stop limiting knights, unless it's obviously like a Zone Mortalis thing. But if you're playing frontline, just bring fucking knights, because everyone's list should be able to take knights out if need be. Same with Mechanicum.
If you're playing Saturnine Terminators, you're pretty much playing knights anyway. Like, what's the point? Like,
correct.
Go up that.
Just deep striking ones.
Further. Yeah.
Yeah. To be able to have the Mechanicum book out is good, because it means that people might be able to have a chance of understanding it a bit quicker, especially now with the big range of plastic. Solar Auxilia have obviously had a huge plastic refresh. I would imagine this means the Charonite Ogrins, or Charonite Ogrins, however you pronounce it, are getting plastic models, as well as the rapiers and all the other things that we've seen in Legion Imperialis are all going to come out in plastic. So that's great. We know that the Talons book is coming. We're going to get a PDF on the day for existing models, but we also know that we're going to get a book later on down the line for a complete new, what it feels like is a Talons refresh. So whether that means new models, I assume that means at least a couple of Sisters kits, because they're probably the most unloved. Maybe a new Custodes kit. I don't see them getting a whole new whole new infantry kit, but maybe. But at least we know there's a whole range coming to them, right? So
yeah,
that's good. I don't know what happened with Demons. I missed that, if they said it at all.
I don't think they said anything, but I don't think G-Dubs knows what they're doing with Demons, because they don't like cross-platform, cross-game purchasing and one range to suit 3 different games, and they're trying to put the kibosh on that, aren't they? So, who knows what's happening with official? I mean, they must, because they've done models like Commander and Demons, right?
Yeah. They must be coming. The dragons are coming. They must be. So
yeah. I mean, Fuller just said in the comments, there are legacy PDFs, so we can hope maybe that the Demons are part of legacy PDFs, but then they are just legacy. But if they say legacy units, Will got really excited when we were saying yesterday, because yes, it does mean box noughts, things like that.
That's the fucking one. That means
and Black Shield. What do you guys think? Black Shield's day one.
Fucking move on.
They're gonna have to
move on with their life.
Endred Har, they're gonna have to have rules.
Oh yeah, Endred fucking Har.
For the 3 people that play Black Shields, for the 2 people that play Black Shields, fair play. But I can live without them. Like, they're just Marines that are just pussios. So, do you know what I mean? It is what it is.
You make a Black Shields army kind of out of some sort of Legion rules, though. If you were to play like a Countess, right?
You could. That's just it's a bit of a slap in the face, isn't it? If you've had a few articles about Endred Har and about making your, if you've had rules to make your own thing, and let's say you did an Ollie and you've made a Black Shields army that is completely themed, geared to one Legion. To one theme in your Black Legion, then trying to stick that to one Legion could be a bit like, oh, for fuck's sake, But yeah, you could. It's Marines. You could make it work, but hopefully they get a legacy one.
And the Mechanicum book dropping day one means that all the mech players can actually start crying at the start of the edition this time.
Wow. Call me a wambulance for all the mech players. Yeah.
It is nice for the allied detachments to get their rule books as well, isn't it? Yeah.
I wonder if we'll see the problem. The damp lining around the cloud is that actually, if you open up the Auxilia book and you open up the Mechanicum book, and there's nothing new in there, and you're like, like when you opened up the Liber Hereticus book, we had rules for Horus Ascended, and everyone lost their fucking minds, right?
Yeah.
If you open up the Liber Auxilia and you still got rules for Greg Dan the Apothecary, and you still got rules for the guy in his fucking walk-in suit, and you open up Mechanicum and you've still got rules for just Scoria and nothing else, and you're like, what? Like no named Axiarch or anything else. You're just like, okay, cool. I mean, maybe you're waiting for an Arcane Journal later on down the line, but
it's going to be pretty heavy.
Earlier. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I reckon. I reckon Demon Fulgrim will probably be in the Liber book now. I'm assuming.
Do you think Demon Angron will be?
They're going to have to be, surely.
That's what I was going to ask. Yeah, hopefully. I'd love to. Can't wait to see his rules, because we've been waiting for a while for him. So that's what I'm keen to see.
And Latara as well. Are they going to put Latara with the World Eaters, or is she going to go into the Auxilia book? I just don't know.
Is she going to be a playable character?
Well, I presume so. I think they said it, didn't they? Because she's got a model, hasn't she? Has she got rules already?
No, she was meant to. They said in the article that Angron and Latara are going to have rules, but they're out of time, aren't they?
Yeah.
That's mad.
Yeah. Unless they bring her out now and she's like an absolute monster in a militia army for 6 weeks until the edition gets redone.
Strength 6,
One shot with a
AP2, instant
strength
death,
3
pistol.
fucking las pistol.
Bang! Yeah. Are you battle hardened? You're done anyway. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's good. It's good you're going to be able to have these books. I mean, realistically, you know, how many are you going to buy? How many armies do you actually have? Do you need to know the rules for every single thing? That's going to be your personal choice. I'd imagine most people are going to pick up one book on the day and go from there.
I think that's a really interesting thing to develop on as well. Like, it was kind of nice at the start of second ed going into events, knowing that you were pretty much only going to play legions. So you and your opponent could kind of learn as you were going.
Yeah.
But now if you've got an event booked the week after the release, like, there's so much to learn and so much to even have an idea about. It's going to be a pretty heavy workload on the old cogitator banks from the outset, which I think will be really fun. I think it'll add to that. I don't know about you guys, but the mystery of not really knowing what's going on, it can be good and bad. Like, and it
so
can be really fun. Yeah.
So exciting. It's just like you're learning everything new for the first time again.
Yeah.
It's invigorating.
No,
I'm gonna have to be a big boy and learn like the Mechanicum and Night rules bloody first week now.
Yeah.
Like, I enjoyed just ignoring them the entire edition last edition. It's nice just focusing on the legions and not having to worry about reading the rules once and then not again kind of thing.
Yeah, it'll be a big indication of how good the Mechanicum book is.
Especially if it's Isfahan 5, mate. There's nothing else there. Like,
if Giles brings out his Myrmidon spam Mechanicum day one,
his Befire on Myrmidon list,
rather than the Dark Angels, then you know which one is better.
He's getting chinned, mate, as well. Like,
turns up to like Ollie's for like a little like demo day where we're like learning the edition. He's like, "Oh, I've bought the Paul Fire on."
It's got the same rules from first ed, but it's damage 10 now. Yeah.
I don't believe it. And here we are. Everyone denied my predictions. They're like, Adam, you're a fucking idiot. You're dreaming. You're smoking crack. And I said, no, boys, I'm telling you, there's going to be an Isfahan campaign book. And lo and behold, here it is.
Yeah, you've got some fucking
pretty mad, isn't it?
Oh.
Yeah, I don't know what tea leaves you were reading.
That's it.
Yeah, who have you been sucking off? Yeah.
Everyone,
what do you mean? Everyone, just like Adam,
virtual suck off across the globe.
There's a few inches in there, let me tell you.
Yeah.
Exciting stuff, though, right?
This is a huge part of what's to be excited about the Heresy.
I think this is the cream, actually. This is going to be the secret sauce, I think.
If this is good, and by good, I will preface that to mean as good as the old world ones are, because the old world ones are really good. I know that they're faction based rather than campaign based, but they are really good books because they're like 15 quid. They're chock full of lore, they're chock full of artwork, and they're chock full of rules. Yeah. And they always bring something new. They bring 2 new characters and 2 new, essentially, rites of war in an arcane journal. If this is a journal tactica, and this is either, a big campaign book, it says part 1, right? The Isfahan 5 Drop Site Massacre part
Madness.
1.
Yeah.
So let's say there's a trilogy of them, and let's say they're as big as a campaign book from first edition, and they're chock full of lore, they're chock full of art plates, and they've got a decent campaign system. And they've got some decent rules in there for 2 characters who were at Isfahan, plus a unit that we get a model alongside. It'll be fucking huge. But if they are just churned out trash, like the last books were, like the corrupted EC rules and stuff, it's going to be a fucking nightmare.
Exemplary Battles Part 1 that never, ever, ever got a Part 2, Part 3.
I may be referring to that. Yeah.
That's interesting because that Exemplary Battles book, like rules wise, didn't it have a lot more than those? It has a lot more than the old world equivalents. It was a much bigger book. So even though the rules were terrible, like there was a lot more fluff in there, and there were more rules in there and missions than the old world equivalent. Like I agree that the old world ones in general have been good. Like the High Elf one is fucking terrible, but which
Bias
makes me
showing
sad.
there slightly, Kieran.
Oh no, but it is. It's generally it's widely recognised as the
Yeah.
worst one.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah.
But yeah, like with this drop site one, I'm expecting something more like Cathonia, right? Is that what we're kind of
Yes.
expecting?
I would imagine it's gonna be more like Cathonia. Yeah.
So like heaps
I
of fluff.
think it's going to be thin. I think it's
Yeah.
going to be like a 90 page, like a 70 to 90 page little banger.
A little zinger tower.
I don't hate that. Yeah.
Yeah,
Little zinger tower.
Like the journals aren't big themselves, are they? The arcane journals.
No,
No.
they're thin, like
No,
you
they're
say, and they're
tiny.
50. They're 50. Well, I think they're probably knowing GW. They're probably 17 quid now, right? But they're under 20 quid for a book which you can read in one sitting.
Yeah.
You know, they've got rules, they've got fluff, they've got some artwork in it. So hopefully, that's what this was got.
I'm more for this type of format too. I think getting this style of book on a more regular basis is just going to be a lot more refreshing and a lot more interesting. And you don't have to carry around a 300-page tome for like one or two set of campaign rules, right?
Yeah.
And I mean, we romanticize about the black books, but just to rip the Band-Aid off, they're never coming back, and we're never going to get anything that good a quality again. So
No,
people
and that
kind of
Band-Aid was ripped off a long time ago.
This is not a black book. It's not trying to be a black book. It is a journal, just like you get in the old world. So I'm much happier for a thinner volume with more regular content for us, because that's what we were really starved for over the last 3 years. I mean, we knew that the Cathonia book was delayed. It should have been released on launch, and it was severely delayed. And then the following was there two more after that. There was Beta Garmin and the Martian book.
Yeah, it's 3 in total, wasn't it? Yeah.
They really didn't meet people's expectations. And I think part of that was the content involved, but part of that was also the lingering sort of mentality of that, hey, these are campaign books that must equal black book. And it's not. I mean, black books were amazing. They still are amazing. But we're never going to get that again.
Yeah.
I think it will. I think it will determine, like people say in the comments, it will actually be based upon how good the book is. When it comes out, if it's forgettable, nothing, and it's stuff that really only 2 or 3 people could play in a very small narrative campaign through a weekend, then it won't apply to most of Heresy players who go to events or play club games, or those ones who go to tournaments, whatever. But if it's something that you could translate into an event or becomes a new load of missions, like we had the Cathonia missions, where that's kind of what people play at events now, or did, then it will be adopted and it will be seen as pretty good. It doesn't necessarily matter about the fluff as such. I've not read the fluff of the fucking Beta Garmin book back to cover. There's some bits in it I've read, but even in those books, they just invented fucking Primarch duels that we've never heard about. So most of the time it will be about the rules that are introduced. So the exemplary battles bring out characters that people are like, oh, they're fucking trash, or oh, they're fucking overpowered, or whatever. So I think it will be bang for buck. How much of it is adopted to become part of the wider circle? How much of it matters into your list building? Will it introduce, like Kieran said with the arcane journals, the High Elf one? The High Elf one isn't seen as good as the rest of them because the others, both of those armies are viable and you see them all the time. Like the Orc one, you see both of those Orc armies taken to tournaments all the time. So if this has something in it for some of the legions who are at ISFAM 5, but no one takes them because they're just so badly worded, like the Corrupted ECs, just no one takes them because they're shit and they're backwards and they're a detriment to the way you play, then that'll be a real problem.
Very interesting.
Anything more before we have a look at some rules?
Oh, just on that last point Tom was making about alternative army lists and that kind of thing in the book. kind of struggling to kind of imagine what they could be at Isfahan 5. Like if they had have gone later in the siege or like later in the Heresy or at the siege, then obviously you would have the corrupted legions that could have been those alternative lists. But I'm really interested to see what they actually come up with for Isfahan 5, because Isfahan 5, everything is very fresh. You know, there are only really the Emperor's children and the word bearers that are showing any kind of real signs of corruption at that stage. So yeah,
it'll just be
to see what they come up with. Yeah,
the first company of Iron Hands, and you can't play it again.
you get to play it once.
You get to play it once, and then you lose, and then that's it.
Oh,
Yeah.
It'll be Ferris. It'll be Ferris with Fireblade instead of Forgebreaker as well. And
you're thin fucking ice here, my pedigree chum. Like.
You just have to wait for Webway Journal for Ghost Ferris to come back.
When he's got his brutal four fists.
Yeah. You have to wait until the Spirit Journey journal later on. And then
I mean,
the Webway Journal.
Yeah. It's only a matter of time until we get like an internal card game to play alongside just like a normal frontline game. So then I can just play Ferris over and over again and it'll be fun. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, they play Yu-Gi-Oh! In the last book, so maybe we should start playing it alongside Heresy. It'd be fucking sick.
Yeah. All right. It's time to have a look at Snippet. So, different types of psychology. What are your thoughts?
I hate to say the same thing again, two points in a row, but it will literally depend on how much this actually matters in game. So if you buy a librarian and you equip him or attach him or whatever you do to a tactical squad, and all that librarian does is up your willpower check by 2 and gives you some magic spell that will try and redirect with a Nuncio Vox. If all it does is increase your willpower by 2 and your willpower is used against defense of other psychic power checks, and that's as in-depth as it goes, I think these will just be forgotten about stuff. And it'll be it'll probably be a fine, isn't it? Yeah. It'll be one of those things you'll just be like, oh, fuck, yeah, no, your willpower 9, not 7. Yeah, okay. Oh, well, I won't shoot them instead. I'll do this.
Yeah. But, like, if you want to use your Vox to redirect the fireballs and you have to make an intelligence check to see if he can press the buttons on his Vox to go, yes, you may redirect your fireball.
Yeah.
Or if the master signal has to do an intelligence check to see if he remembers how the cognitive signum work. If you have to do it quite a lot, it might just get a bit tedious. But then at the same time, Necromunda has these in, and they play a role, but it's not like an over the top role. So I'm a bit cup half empty about them now, but I'm fully open for that turning into a pint. So
yes. I think in Necromunda, like a big telling point is it's probably the game I play the most. When you roll your upgrades on a ganger or anything, and they're random, and you're praying for it to be toughness or wounds or something.
Come on,
and you roll intelligence up by 1, you're like, well, I'll fucking never remember that because it doesn't matter. Do you know what I mean?
I won't even write it down. Yeah.
No. So it will really depend on how much these things come into play with these mental stats and how often they're used. And if it's just checks for war gear that consoles bring or war gear that you bring and stuff, that's one way of doing it. But I'll be interested to see how much it actually plays into the game. Would you guys think?
It's just another stage of granularity, right? I think that could be used nicely to differentiate between legions and characters. Like you could imagine that legions like the Word Bearers or Imperial Fists or Iron Warriors would have really kind of high kind of willpower, and maybe the Iron Hands would have really kind of high, cool under pressure and that kind of thing. So I think
Space
could be another thing, and we could see that in Legion stats. In Legion stats,
low cool,
like,
low
+1
intelligence,
here or -1 there, that kind of thing.
I think that is definitely something that I think would happen, but it would depend on terms of things like balancing. If Iron Hands main Legion rule, for example, and I don't think they've shown anything of this yet, but if, say Iron Hand's main Legion rule is that it's still pseudo toughness 5 against shooting or whatever, but like the fucking word bearers are willpower +1. Like that isn't okay. They don't mean the same thing. Yeah. So there need to be little aperitifs at the end of your, if you imagine Legion traits being
that's
3 or 4.
Definitely more how I see them. Yeah,
like right at the the 4th bullet point on your Legion trait is Space Wolves are intelligence 5. Things like that. Like that's
and there'll definitely be something like
cool one.
A Praetor gives you +1 whatever, within 12 or 18 or something like that.
For sure.
Command Rage or something that where a Praetor gives you a bonus, and maybe a different kind of like a Master of Signal might give you a different type of bonus, that kind of thing. So I think
and I guess
it's really interesting.
It is super interesting.
Yeah, it's really interesting.
Keen to see where it goes, to be honest. And I think there could be some very cool meta mechanics in here in the game. I mean, because the 4 of us really like our list writing stage, and delving into it and fine tuning things and whatnot. And this just gives a whole new level to List Hammer.
Yeah, it really does. It really, really does. And there's going to be so much like data to download as well. Just chatting to your pals and talking about this. It's just going to be more stuff to just get really into, which is going to be great.
And more
granularity is a great point. Yeah,
for your units, if things like adding an apothecary does a thing, adding a tech marine does a thing, and then separate. So now actually you want your big 20-mans to have apothecaries and tech marines, but for different reasons. I think that'll be something that'll be really interesting, because that does bring the granularity back of almost original edition 40Ks, old 40K, old fantasies, things like that.
Yeah. And I guess that will go hand in hand with these new, what are they called? Tactical statuses or something?
Conditions, I think. Something like that.
Yeah.
So pinned, suppressed, stunned, and routed. I mean, they all right now seem like different words for a very similar sort of thing in the game that we know and play right now, right?
Yeah. And I think as well,
feels like it's
what you might have is that you won't, as you play more, you won't use them. You won't use the like tokens. Like if someone's routed, you'll just fall them back immediately. Or if someone's pinned, you'll just put one of the guys on his back. Do you know what I mean? So maybe it won't be as much as what it's initially thinking it could be.
Kieran, you going to say something?
It just feels like they've given like infantry squads like crew shaken and crew stunned. Like there's just a couple of additional steps there, and I don't think it's really going to change the game much at all. Like it's just that extra little step in a system that we already have. So it's not a whole new kind of thing the way reactions were. It's just additional little steps in the morale kind of phase. So I don't think it's a big issue. It will make the game more complicated, but if it allows us to have kind of additional special rules in there, you could see like some certain weapons like heavy bolters or rotor cannons or something having like a suppression style rule, right?
That's what I want, man. That's proper Dawn of War, isn't it?
Yeah, graviton or grav, that kind of thing, having like a stunned kind of effect. So I think, it might just have like, give us additional kind of granularity in that regard, which I think is a great thing. It'll just take a bit of time to get used to. So I think it's good in general.
I think these are 4 ways to interact with something quite generic, in terms of either, pinned became quite a big thing in 2.0, understandably, because of the correlation with reactions. But then you had things like concussed, as Jack said in the comments, things like shell shock, rules like that. I think now you can differentiate them easier under these 4 subheadings, and rules can correlate with these 4 headings in a lot easier way. So rather, like we said earlier on with the Legion traits, like it might be one Legion has one characteristic higher. It might be that actually, like say, heavy bolters, if they inflict a wound, they are, you're automatically suppressed. Rifles might be automatically pinned, whereas grav might be automatically stunned, whereas an exploding vehicle might be a routed check. or your transport died. Maybe you're routed as a result or something, you know. Or maybe it's like Kieran said, maybe it is like the stunned and shaken, and it's on the result of a dice. So, you know, I got out my exploded transport, roll a dice. Okay, cool. I rolled a 1. I'm only pinned. Oh shit! No, I've rolled a 6. I'm routed. I'm out the door.
That's the thing, right? You'll take a willpower or a cool check, and then based on the result, you'll have one of these kind of
could be
statuses applied to you, that kind of thing.
And it could be like, you know, Kieran, you know, a rule that was much maligned when it was first talked about is the old fall back in good order from the new old world rule set, which when it first came out was fucking, I mean, it trawled through the stinging nettles as the worst thing ever in terms of rules writing. But now actually, once you've got your head around it, it is a really, really good way that you can, in your list writing, you can make sure it doesn't happen, or you can make sure that it happens the way you want it to, and it doesn't always necessarily mean the worst result for yourself multiple times.
It's an extra tactical element, right? Yeah,
and it is an extra tactical element that you can stack combats and you can stack shooting phases to make sure that I never want to be routed, and if I get stunned, I've got a once per game potion that I can sip to make it only suppressed, and I don't mind being suppressed a couple of times, but hopefully I'll only just be pinned. You know, things that you can stack in list writing and your movement phase, and you know, abilities from war gear and consoles and stuff to mitigate the effects of these things. I think that's a really interesting way to play a game that's becoming more like a role-playing game, more like an old narrative RPG.
Yeah,
and I think there are going to be.
Sorry, Kieran. Go ahead.
There are going to be a lot of modifiers, I think, to those different psychological stats as well, because they did mention that units such as Primarchs go well into the double figures of, you know, intelligence and willpower and cool and all those kind of things. So if you go above a 12, that's kind of pointless, right? So unless there are a whole bunch of modifiers in there to bring it into play. So yeah, I reckon we're going to see a lot of those kind of things, and it's going to be an important part of list writing, trying to include those kind of units in your list and how you combine them and different kind of, you know, it's like, you know, we keep bringing up old world and that kind of thing, but, you know, vampire counts screams and using different spells and war gear to lower people's leadership to make them more effective. So I think there's going to be a whole bunch of those kind of stackable abilities that we can do in the list writing phase to make our pinning or suppression or kind of stunned effects more effective.
It's going to be interesting to see how mechanically these are different to one another. I mean, obviously we know the difference between pinned and routed now, because it's essentially, well, what we think might be just pinned and falling back, or fleeing as it is now. But mechanically, how is suppressed going to be different to that? How is stunned going to be different to that? That's going to be interesting as well. And then working contingencies in to maybe prevent that in your list as well will be super, super interesting in the list hammer phase.
Yeah, definitely agree with that. I think that'll be one of the things that in 3.0, we will start differentiating. You know, in 2.0 it was very quick to be like, well, what pins? You know, that was instantly the big topic of what pins reliably, and now it'll be a case of, well, what pins, what suppresses, what routes, what stuns. You know,
one thing that did blow up, kind of beyond belief to me anyway, was the change in formatting for weapons.
Yeah, it's pretty big.
Yeah,
this looks completely foreign to anyone who's used to the game. However, like a bolt pistol does the exact same thing it does now with the exact same special rules and traits. It's just formatted in a different way.
Yeah.
I think there's been a big sort of knee jerk to this. I mean, there's going to be a lot of different acronyms to remember, that's for sure. But I mean, range 12, firepower 1. I mean, it's the same as writing pistol 1, strength 4, AP 5, and it does 1 wound like a normal shot this edition. So not too dissimilar to what we've seen now. And if anything, I think that when we look at the Saturnine Disruption Fist TM, when we look at some of the traits of the weapon, you've got initiative modifier, attack modifier, strength modifier, AP, and damage. I mean, that's almost like saying the weapon is +2 strength, AP2. It's unwieldy -2, let's say, for argument's sake, and it's brutal 3. Like, there's actually not much different in this at all, I don't think.
I think
anything, it offers you to maybe organize weapons in a more tiered structure where the granularity of the stats actually means something. So, for example, a fist might strike slower than what an axe does, might strike slower than what a maul does, but a sword's the quickest, right?
Yeah,
right now, you've got
boys
it's
made
your
that point
initiative
this morning,
or your unwieldy, right? So less binary in a sense. What do you guys think?
I think this is going to help with whatever they've done to. They said they've overhauled every weapon in the game, right? Which what that means is, what I thought that meant is every weapon stat is different. But as we look at the bolt pistol, it's fairly.
It's the same weapon, isn't it? Yeah.
But they did say that they were going to change every single weapon in the game. Now, that might mean that it's just had a redraft, like this bolt pistol, in that it's got the assaults of traits of assault because it's a pistol, but it's got a special rule pistol. So the assault trait must mean that you can still shoot after charging it, which is no longer in the pistol rule. So what's the pistol rule even doing? You know, bolt is that,
combat weapon.
Medwell was saying that's a trait, right? Not a rule. So yes, combat weapon, maybe it means that as well. Maybe it means that bolt is also something that will link with keywords like Imperial Fist. So if an Imperial Fist thing is still +1 to hit with bolt weapons, good. It's easy. We don't have to go back to the fucking chart at the back of the book and find the bolt list and say all of these things are bolt weapons. It's just this has got the trait bolt written in the war gear. Fine.
It makes it easier, right? But that was never like a problem, was it? Like we all knew what bolt weapons.
No, it probably wasn't. It probably wasn't an issue. It's just one of those things where whatever they've done to the rest of the weapons that we haven't seen yet, hopefully there's some reason to do it. Why things have become a bit, renamed and stuff. Because there's no reason just because you've added an initiative modifier over unwieldy, like Adam says, and I don't really see the reason to change that from a tax modifier to be something else. Like lightning claws might now be +2 attacks or something like that. Maybe that needed changing. So that does mean that hopefully the weapons start to differentiate themselves from each other a little bit. Like between a fist and an axe is quite close. So points have always been used to differentiate them as well as anything else. And then you always end up with an efficiency thing. Whereas now, hopefully, there is like a reason to take them because of what you want them to do on the battlefield differently.
Yeah,
I mean
that'd be really cool.
That's a bit head in the clouds a bit. I think this will be the biggest thing that's a change for change's sake. But
there's always going to be like a good option, right? There's always going to be one option that's way better than the others, like the Thunderhammer is now. But hopefully, like this additional granularity will make the differences a little bit, not as stark. So, like, maybe a Power Fist, maybe a Power Fist might be slightly faster than a Thunderhammer, or maybe it'll hit slightly, have a higher strength while the Thunderhammer does more damage or that kind of thing. So, there'll be a bit more kind of give and take between the different weapons so that you're not you don't feel like you're an idiot for taking a Power Fist instead of a Thunderhammer, which would be really cool.
Yeah, hopefully it has some actual lasting benefit to the game and isn't just one of those things where everyone just ends up calling it what it was.
Yeah, true.
What strength is that? What AP is that? Blah, blah, blah. What initiative do you strike at?
So, I mean, I haven't really extracted any screenshots of some of the turnover pages that we saw from the previews. They're just too unclear and too wordy to kind of go over today. But they did show. They did show what is coming ahead in the months after the Saturnine box. Really cool. First up, bash, we got the rapier.
Oh,
I mean, we've all seen it. It was in Limp.
Yeah, this is the Legion Prize one, isn't it? Yeah.
The artwork was also in the Beta Garmin book for the color plates for it as well. It's a win for me. I think it looks cute. It looks like a little pet bulldog or something.
Yeah, it's really cool. Yeah, they're going to be everywhere. I mean, they're already everywhere, but they're going to be literally everywhere now, which is freaking awesome. Yeah.
I missed the little purvey's kind of seed shield on the other ones. But to be honest, I think this new look fits the Legions better aesthetically, really, to be honest. Like those kind of overlapping plates and the sleeker kind of look on the front, it's more reminiscent of the Legion vehicles like the Sicarans and that kind of thing. So, yeah, I missed the little purveys, especially for putting like transfers and that kind of thing on. But I think these look probably nicer, really, to be honest. Although they don't have the little firing step on them, do they? So
no,
on the back.
Ooh,
there's no fire.
No, it looks like the Tech Marine guys are all holding some sort of control. Like if you imagine that guy at the top in the middle, like he's the high ab driver, right? And he's got his little high ab control panel thing, and he's he's high abbing, fucking ton bags of sand off to build the defenses. None of them are manually holding a joystick to fire. These are all using. They're like that guy's reloading and firing, but most of them are just on. They're on iPads, yeah. They're just iPad kids. These guys are all remotely firing this thing.
And to be honest, that is much better for gameplay as well, because it was always a bit awkward when you had two models that were supposed to be separate models that were glued together. Now this is much easier for like removing wounds and for counting wounds with templates and all that kind of thing. So gameplay wise, it's much better.
Yeah.
What do you guys think of the dinky little kneecaps?
They're trash, but I love the helmets.
Yeah. I think this might even be something that even I just fill in. Like, they look like apple pastries on their fucking knees. I don't get it. So they'll be getting a little bit of liquid green stuff in there, I think.
I like the helmets, though.
Your helmets are cool.
Weirdly, the helmets look to me like old Beetleborg or VR Trooper helmets, like Power Ranger rip-off helmets. Like, even they don't do it for me, but I'll use them. I think the yellow
They're
is
copies of the Tech Marine helmets, right? They're just Tech Marine.
Yeah,
helmets,
I was going to say they look like Tech Marine helmets, don't
they?
Yeah. All right. We also saw an absolute stonker in the Fellblade coming to plastic as well. Now,
Kieran's ruined this for me. Kieran's ruined it.
It's done.
This is not good.
Kieran's ruined it for
terrible,
me.
Isn't it?
I will no longer buy this tank.
God.
This was going to be an instant buy for me last night. I was bowled over by it. I was going to buy it day one. Bosh. And now Kieran's ruined it. So fuck you, Kieran.
Not only is there a major glaring issue to it, but I'm not a fan of the design changes to it at all.
It looks like a little chode Fellblade rather than a big Lord of War bad boy that's going to be dominating the battlefield.
It's got no weight to it.
Yeah, it's just and this especially as well.
I can't this better come with a different sponsor, because honestly, this is unforgivable.
I'm kind of like, I'm wondering if it's just like a Photoshop thing where they haven't like done the sponsons on the kit and they just Photoshop them on and just splice them together somehow or something, because it looks, I don't know, like the cables against the tank almost look like they're kind of cut out. But if this is like real, that is fucking terrible. That's like Space Wolf upside down bolter levels of
it is that
just
bad.
An obvious mistake. It's not like a design choice. It's just a mistake.
I can't. Sorry, guys. I can't see above the
top drum, whatever it is. There's like a little silver gubbin, little knobbin thing, whatever that is, part of the firing pin or something. Like above the drum, there's like a little silver thing. Yes. In the bottom bolter, that's like clipped in and sheared off to the fucking drum mag. So what? It can't be that important. It's trash. Honestly, dog shit thing needs to go in the bin. I don't get it. Give me some las cannons, because this thing is trash. If I see one of these at events, they're getting taken off of people's models like fucking hatches, and they're getting put around the bar.
Yeah.
I'm all for quad heavy bolters on vehicles, though. That's sexy as fuck. But they have to at least be believable in the setting, right?
Yeah. Oh my god. Yeah. Someone's just said in the comments it might be a case deflector. So I mean, yeah, if that is, then the bottom one maybe just uses the other barrel as the other fucking magazine as one. Fuck knows. It's trash. Put it in the bin, Adam. The whole thing.
Well, here's the thing. If we just Oh, where'd it go?
What were you trying to put up?
Bring it back up. Here we go.
I think we both tried to put it up at exactly the same time. Yeah.
Right. So the changes to the hull, the front section has changed. So you got that more. What is that, like a galvanic drive train or whatever that fucking thing is there? The demolisher looks completely out of place with the rest of the hull. It looks like it's just been stuck on from a Vindicator. Maybe an Orc player did it. I'm not sure. The Demios or the Demos Rhino style hatch, the circular hatch doesn't match the square design language of the model. Even though it looks in place on like the Predator and the Rhino and that sort of stuff, you still got curves and contours in the exhausts that sit around the hull and whatnot. You can't see that relationship anywhere else on this tank. The door looks very out of place. I mean, I wasn't the biggest fan of the door on the resin version. That's why I chose to fill mine in on the glaive. The front end seems to have got a lot more pointy. The tracks are thinner. So there's more links in the tracks.
Yeah, there's more of them.
And the actual body of the chassis looks like it sits higher and more proud on top of the tank, which completely changes the sort of like more heavy, sleeker silhouette that the resin one had. I've also got a feeling that the actual turret has shrunk in volume, and the like crates or ammo crates, whatever they are, around the hatch on the turret has gotten larger too, to the point where it's almost like in competition with the size of the actual turret. It's the dome turret itself. And then we've got the barrels on the back of the vehicle, and they just don't really look like they come from the same game. It looks like they come from another sort of sci-fi setting. It just looks very out of place. I'm not the biggest fan. I mean, the hull especially, there's something not quite right about it. The old Forge World one kind of gave me a similar sort of vibe, like you know when you see a super tanker out in the water and it's like low and long and heavy. That's kind of what I felt about this tank. This one just don't got it.
It's kind of giving a bit more kind of like Kratos vibes in a way. Like it's got that. It's somewhere between like a Kratos and like the old classic.
Looking more like a
super heavy tanks. It's
like the pointy sort of front track bits. Front.
It's
Definitely
just
foreign vibes. I mean, if it's good, I'll probably still buy one. Fuck it, because it'll be a plastic super heavy, and I'm not building a Cerberus again. But you know, I like
how many
that.
Fucking parts that's going to be though. Like
it's going to be insane, isn't it? I was just thinking that.
That's fine with me. That doesn't. You know, a couple of days of building that.
You just do it at work, Tom, so it's fine. You get paid to do it.
Yeah, I just get the gas network to pay for it, so I don't care. I do agree about the barrels though. Like the barrels on like the old Bane blades and stuff, the plastic ones, always looked like, you know, normal sort of militia human oil drum barriers. These look like energy canisters from like a different game, like Infinity or something. But
Tattoo or something.
Yeah, they do look a bit Star Warsy. Yeah, I like the pointed arrow hazard stripe on the turret. I think that's quite good. I think Iron Warriors could probably take that pointed arrow form of the hazard stripe across more tanks and stuff. But yeah, it's one of those things. I think we'll see this everywhere. I hope there's a different sponsor. I hope that front-facing demolisher can move a little bit and isn't just stock there. But we'll see, I suppose.
It's weird, yeah. I think the main thing for me is it just doesn't look as imposing as the other Hellblade did. It just
where's the gravitas?
Yeah, it just looks a bit. It just looks like everything's just been shrunken a bit more. What? I still have.
Yeah, they're all in Will's list.
I'm still looking for that. I'm still trying to kill a glaive with one volley. But anyway. So it just I don't know. it just hasn't got that grandeur, that scale about the Fell Blades and the Falchion and the Glaive Pad, and I don't know. Yeah, it does nothing for me. It does less than nothing for me.
Yeah, a rare miss, I think, on this one.
Yep. Move along.
But they're kind of allowed a miss with everything else that they did so well. So I can live with that. Yeah. They will be everywhere, though. People are going to fucking love them.
They will. They really will be everywhere, for sure.
Arguably the most banging reveal of the day.
Here we are.
Mark II Assault.
That
Absolutely.
jetpack size is exactly what a man needs in his life.
Hot damn. Imagine one of these falling on you from like the sky. Like fucking karate kicking you as he comes down. You just it's so imposing. It's brilliant. I love it.
I think these -2 a cool check for sure. Yeah.
I think you'll see these everywhere. I think you'll see White Scars ones everywhere. I think I think you'll see the packs on Mark III quite a lot. I think if people who don't like Mark II will buy Mark III Marines, change the pack out. I know it links with the chest plate, so people have to be ingenious, but like the Mark VI one did. But honestly, I think this puts the Mark VI Assault squad in the bin. Unless you're a Legion really themed around the Mark VI Assault pack.
For shame.
Yeah, I think they're in the bin.
You're using this kit, right?
Say that again, sorry.
Unless you're Raven Guard, you're using this kit.
Yeah, literally.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. Because it actually works for every Legion, really.
Maybe Night Lords and Empress Children. They're the only two I can sort of think of that maybe still use the Mark VI.
Empress Children, I can
Just
get
on, just on what you said, Will. Like I think universally, Mark II fits into every Legion almost seamlessly, and it looks great in every color scheme as well.
Yeah.
So good. This is my favorite part of the reveal for sure. Like that extra chest, like armor plate on the chest with that little gorget like neck cover, like that is fucking perfect. That's what a lot of the models miss for me. That more brutal helmet with the banding on top of it and like the angular like faceplate, just so good. Like this is my favorite model for sure. Like we haven't even seen the rest of the kit yet.
Yeah.
But this one gets me more excited to start something new than any of the other models. So yeah, I'll be getting some of these for sure, just to have a look at.
Yeah. I want it.
Well,
I want 30 now.
Yeah, instantly.
100%. And to back that up, finally, plastic breaches.
Does seeing the Mark III there make
Long
you
time
wish
coming.
looking at Mark II again?
Yes, exactly. Sorry? It's so shit compared to Mark II. It's a joke. Like those.
It's crazy, plates, isn't it?
The chest plate, it's fucked. Like Mark II is so much better now. Like the bolter, like I love the drum mag, but like that bolter design, the way they've done those Phobos bolters, that's not it. Like I think the helmet looks decent, but hallelujah, we're finally getting them after 15 years or whatever.
And it makes sense as well. It's just
it's a bit lame.
I think you'll be finding a lot of these breach or upgrade sprues from your various suppliers of such goods, and then you'll be whacking them on Mark II. I think. I think the Mark II just looks more brutal.
Yeah,
absolutely.
They want
big shield, big gun, big boy, big bash.
The shield is proportioned correctly compared to like the command squad's shield.
Combat shields,
Yeah.
And like Mark III makes sense for breaches. It's the breacher armor, like it's got that extra armor plating on the front and stuff. Fuck, no, I just couldn't bring myself to use those Mark III models. Really, I don't think. I'm getting triggered here.
Next one.
Mark II again. That Mark II. Yeah.
Everyone know in future we're going to have a segment in the show, and it's going to be called "Kieran Loses It," and he's just He's going to turn. He's just going to rage, and he's going to turn from a healthy shade of pink to red, to purple, to blue.
Yes.
Let the rage flow. We also got a teaser. new Cataphracti Terminators coming up too. So it'll be very interesting to see when they are fully previewed where they sit scale-wise. I know Kieran and I actually have a podcast pre-recorded dropping sometime next week, and we're going to go through Heresy scale and
Jack's triggered.
what that means, and identifying good and bad scale as well when you're planning models and conversions and that sort of stuff. It's going to be very interesting to see what size these end up. I hope they end up Indomitus size. You guys?
Yeah. I'm building some Indomitus at the moment for Heresy, and when I've looked at them compared to Cataphracti and Tartarus, they just look too small now. So people who are printing Cataphracti and Tartarus or Indomitus or even Saturnine, they're always scaling them up a little bit more. But the way that the scale between an Indomitus Marine and a Mark 6 and 3 Marine is about as good as you're ever going to get without it being completely true scale game. But if it was a true scale game, Land Raider would be a quarter of the size of the fucking table. Yeah. So you kind of have to have a balance somewhere, and I think they're a good balance. So I would hope that whatever this is, because this isn't a character, because there's no Legion specific iconography on him. That's a painted hazard stripe. There's no Legion specific stuff on his leg or hand or anything. So or the gun. So I'd imagine this is a generic kit, and it's Iron Warriors because they're poster boys of this edition. So if they're a generically upscaled Cataphracti kit, I would hope they're as big as, but not bigger than, Indomitus. And I hope Tartarus are on the way. So don't be buying any more Cataphracti or Tartarus. That's
hold your horses.
Yeah, fucking.
I think they're going to be smaller than the Indom, unfortunately, because the Indom are, they're Primaris Indom.
Primaris.
I think these guys are going to be slightly smaller. But I'm still, hopefully they're still going to be much better proportioned than the current kit, which is, terrible. Someone in the chat said they've got the 10 from the starter set still lying around, and so do I. I didn't even look at them. They just don't compare to the new range of stuff. Be cool to see some plastic Volkite charges for Terminators, which is nice.
Yeah. The scale's right on these as well. Yeah.
The leg looks a little bit skinny. I don't know from this angle. It's ridiculous to make from this picture, but for a Cataphracti Terminator, it's looking a bit skinny. The lower
around
part
the knee.
of the leg. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not sure either what belt hook you're hooking the Volkite onto when you're done with it, and the little thing on the grip, but
they're all magged.
They're all supposed to be magged. Yeah. It's why I've never
in the heat of battle, you just can't find a catch.
I've never understood the leather pouches on Mark 6 and stuff like that. Because it's like it just fucking sticks to your arm or your leg. I don't get it. I think new Cataphracti is good. I think it means that if they're a segue between a Marine and Saturnine, and they don't look so fucking small next to Saturnine Terminators, that it will help Saturnine blend in a little bit more.
Definitely.
Oh, that is so true. I saw the picture of the Saturnine next to the Tartarus, and he's like literally half the size.
I don't understand why they did that. Because the Tartarus is smaller than a Mark II, right? So what's the fucking point showing us that?
The plastic Tartarus actually has shorter legs than what the original Forge World resin Tartarus had.
Yeah.
We go into this again in the episode coming out, but the chunky scale on those little boys is funny. Yeah.
So the other low-key big news out of this is the two factions that didn't really get a mention at all in this preview, other than a sort of throwaway line about the Talons getting a PDF. This looks like a new Guardian spear, and the guys on the stream did say that it is plastic, and I imagine that would mean some new plastic custodians.
It's not a bad thing. They probably need a rescale, especially with Saturnine coming out and with the Cataphracti and the Tartarus getting a redone. So it's quite cool. It's just a custodian. So
I think that blade is dog shit.
Just the painting though, right? Like I think if it's painted, it'll look alright.
Yeah. Just silver just looks so crap.
Yeah, and the old
Maybe
Guardian
some
squad
models
now,
again.
like Custodian Guardian squad, it's pretty shit, right? Like the models are not that good. They don't stand up. Some of the 40k models are nice, and the resin ones that we got from Forge World are pretty good still. But that original plastic one from the Prospero box just doesn't hold up well these days. As do the sisters. You know, they're all pretty poor models these days. So
Yeah.
I'm definitely looking forward to seeing some new Custodians models, even if it's just a basic Guardian squad. That's all like I would need. I'd be happy with that. But
Do you think
for
though,
Custodes fans, hopefully we get some more.
I mean,
Sorry?
obviously we've had new tactical squads which invalidated people's old tactical squads, so I know that they're likely to do that. They've done it before and things. You know, they did it to the whole of 40k. But if you took Custodes, there are probably only a few people who have only got a good Custodes army. There's probably always people who've got legions and stuff. But if you rescale the Custodian normal baseline guy, it means the rest of your old Custodians are like bin fodder, right?
Yeah, pretty much.
Well, they don't need to be rescaled necessarily. They just need better proportions, I think, and better poses. Like they're just a bit too chunky, the old boys. They don't need to be taller per se. And people didn't necessarily bin off their like old Space Marine armies when we got new models for second edition. So I think it'll be the same kind of deal. And if you do bin off a Custodes army, you're only binning off like 8 models, so it's not that hard either.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
Tiny little bitch dreadnoughts compared to my new deep striking boy.
Not a single fuck was given when the Custodians were binned. So,
just before we go any further, I mean, we are starting to close things out now, but Will, I understand you got to leave us at this
I've got
stage.
to check out. Unfortunately, I've got meetings
been
to
an
do and
absolute
stuff.
pleasure.
So.
It's been a pleasure having you on, man. Thank you so much for being a part of this very
You're
first
welcome. Thank you so much for having me.
Saturday Night Lodge.
And you guys are just doing the Lord's work. It's great to get you out chatting, so that more people can just experience the greatness. It's brilliant.
Thanks very much, man. I'd love to have you back sometime soon.
100%.
Yeah, thanks so much.
It's been a pleasure. All
really
love and champagne. Ooh.
Bye. And then there were 3.
Yeah.
And as I said, we are going to start.
Gone, what do we think about the Iron Hands?
Fucking dog shit. It's all shit.
Oh shit. Hopefully Ferris, yeah.
So we do imagine that the Talons will be one major army that is going to be dropped this edition. And the second major army, obviously, has to be the Dark Mech. I mean, they've been working on Dark Mech for donkey's years now, and things have been waiting in the wings for a very, very long time. We know that they have cat designs and they have started making them in plastic. You see that in the limp stuff at small scale.
Yeah.
And this looks like some sort of feral Scutari, would you think?
It kind of looks like the Necromunda Nomads. It's kind of what I thought it was to start with.
That was my first thought too.
Right?
But the more you look at sort of the leg design, the actuators and everything, it does look like that Legion Imperialis Dark Mech sort of vibe. I hope that Dark Mech doesn't just become mech that lives in the desert. You know, I hope they've got more theme ideas for Dark Mech than just homeless Mechanicum.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I'm cautiously optimistic to see what they've done with it. Obviously, this looks like a Scutari guy. That looks like a galvanic rifle that's been sort of bastardized and changed a bit. And obviously the legs are different, but I hope that the whole vibe of when the characters come out and they get some troop choices and an elite guy and everything, I hope it's not just homeless ramshackle mech. I hope there's some improvements for falling to chaos or siding with Horus or whatever it is. I hope there's some improvements to their shit rather than just everything becomes crap and tatty.
Yeah, I totally agree. I was going to say, I hope there's something that makes them look a bit more chaotic than, what we can see on this model. You don't want them to be kind of full 40k mode, but I'd love to see some proto kind of demon engines that look a bit more kind of, more machine than demon, but just to be, clearly defined and different from the standard Mechanicum for sure.
Yeah. I think those arachnid looking walkers or whatever, they remind me of like War of the Worlds or something.
Yeah, definitely. They're creepy. Yeah.
In Imperialis at the moment. that insectoid sort of look, or arachnid sort of look. That's pretty Zana. Would you say it's like Zana S, Zana 2? I mean, you got that like that kind of like scorpion sort of thing going on with Scoria and stuff as well.
Yeah, they stop looking like big anime robots and start looking like insectoid, malevolent.
Yeah, I wonder if we're going to get another level to that, or maybe like another sort of segue in design language, or is it just going to sort of stay that insectoid demon engine sort of stalk tank look?
Yeah, hopefully there's something to it. Like I said, this doesn't fill me with hope that they're not just homeless Mechanicum, but I'm looking forward to being proved wrong.
Yeah. I think that's pretty much it. That was covered in the chat. Do you guys mind just covering off a couple of questions in the chat before we go?
Send it. Go for it. Yeah. Way more than we thought when we just thought it was going to be just the book. Yeah.
I was gonna ask Tom. Like Tom's a more kind of nuanced hobbyist than the two of us. I think Adam. He enjoys a lot more kind of a variety of games rather than us who just stick purely to Heresy. And Tom, your interest in the Heresy kind of waxes and wanes as things happen.
Sure does, yeah.
How hard are you right now for Heresy?
It's difficult because obviously it's like there isn't a number high enough, but
you're about to pass out. There's no blood in your brain.
Yeah, but it's one of those things that for me, without sounding, super lame, that for me, the Heresy sort of throb on doesn't come from the previews as such. That it's manifested from the energy of the community that all sort of coalesces around a preview. So I don't necessarily need the breaches, say, although everyone's been asking for them, the breaches and stuff, but it's everyone's like, oh, suddenly everyone's hyped for Heresy, and everyone started doing it, in your local group chat, on your Instagrams, you see more. On the sort of the faceless groups of Facebook, you start to see more. Just in the last week, we've seen more content for YouTube and podcasters for Heresy than we've probably seen outside of Heresy Hammer in the last 3 months. So all of that energy is what builds me up to think, okay, this is worth investing my time in, and this is worth actually getting to. I've been into Heresy since the Black Book came out at Games Day, and you go in your peaks and troughs with it, and it's difficult to maintain that level of commitment to a game when it's not played locally. In my local hometown, no one really plays it. There are people who play it maybe 45 minutes to an hour away, which isn't that big a shake at all. You go and play there, but so my bread and butter was events. Life means you can't always get to events. New baby doesn't mean it means you can't get to events as much, and that's fine. Life takes over. So when you can't get to an event and you've got no project on the go and you've got no deadline, everything sort of slacks off a little bit. So when you suddenly know, okay, there's a new edition, everyone's hyped for it, I'm going to go to an event this year and next year and all the rest of it, you start getting more hyped up for it. It's easier to maintain a level of enthusiasm that gets up to being, okay, well, I can start to go to events, I can start gaming locally again, I can start painting in your free time, Are
we going to see some more of those beautiful Sons of Horus soon?
Yeah, so I've literally, while we were recording today, I ordered some Sons of Horus transfers from Games Workshop on Tuesday. Obviously, it's now Saturday morning for us. And I got a notification yesterday to say that they'd be here on Wednesday. So that'd be an 8-day turnaround to send me a sheet of transfers. So I got annoyed with that. So I bought some different ones from a different company, plus the infantry marking one, the whole sheet of infantry markings. I bought them yesterday, and they arrived while we were recording earlier on. So they're sat here now. So I can finally get on with that Dreadnought. I can get on with the Tactical Squad. My Indomitus Terminators need to be finished. They can get up to transfer stage, and I'll carry on with those, I think.
That 8-day turnaround sounds fantastic, doesn't it, Adam?
Yeah, I guess. Yeah. Yeah.
Perfect segue into some questions here, because Cat's viral sensation, shout out Cat. Tell us what all you guys' first new armies will be for Horus Heresy 3rd edition. So Tom, you're going to stick.
You need to say it in the Valrak accent. Horus Heresy.
Horus Heresy is coming.
Yeah.
I've been told.
Horus Heresy.
Yeah. So for me, I think because I never got much past a couple of painted vehicles and some Marines, it'll be the Sons of Horus. I think we'll get going and we'll get started on them. I have got the 40k Emperor's Children. I don't know if I've actually told you guys, but the 40k event that I was going to take my Emperor's Children to, they oversold. So I agreed to bow out because I'm moving around that time anyway. So I've agreed to bow out. So because of that, the enthusiasm for that Emperor's Children army has sort of waned quite a lot. So I can put it into the Sons of Horus, and yeah, hopefully the first. I want to be able to, when Will, who's obviously now gone, but when Will says, right, Saturday round mine, everyone travel up for the day, we're going to have a whole day of just learning 3.0. I want to be able to take a force to it. It won't be a 3k army, but I want to be able to take a force to it. So I'm learning with that and not borrowing someone's fucking Raven Guard tactical squad and Giles's Dark Angels characters and stuff, so I can play. I want to be able to take the. I want to be able to take what I can. I've just seen Jack comment about his transfers. Jack, I've got your Custodes transfers, you scrub. I've had them for like, I don't know, God knows. I've had them ages. I've shipped them out to a flipping. You live the other side of the flipping world with these two.
Kieran, what are you working on?
High elves.
That's it.
But
stream.
Yeah. At the moment, I'll probably be waiting to see what the rules are like, waiting to get the new models, and then seeing what I do. But I'm quite inspired to start something new. I just need to find something that grabs me. That new Mark II, I reckon, will definitely be something I look at. I'll have a play around with some of the Saturnine. I don't know if I'll actually end up using them or not, but I want to try and see if I can get them to a stage that I like them. But yeah, I'm pumped for the Heresy. I'm just not sure exactly which army I'll be jumping into, if I'll be expanding my Imperial Fist Alpha Legion at the moment, or if I want to start something new. I'm kind of feeling the urge to start something new, but we'll have to wait and see. Now, I know you're working on your Salamanders, obviously, but you're also Mechanicum and Custodes curious.
I know.
Always.
I've been for a while. I know.
Yeah.
I know. First protocol is finish the Salamanders. I mean, what finished means right now, I'm not really sure. The new edition will dictate how far I sort of take that army. I think I'd be comfortable starting something new when the Salamanders are around, that 4.5k, 5k sort of points limit. So I could be working on them for, the next 6 to 12. But yeah, like you said, I was very, very Mechanicum curious this edition, just based upon their rules. I thought that book was pretty interesting, pretty cerebral. I mean, I know there are some meme builds and very punishing ones that get seen all the time with that book. I didn't want to, go down that sort of obvious road. It's not really my style, but having Mechanicum would link in really well with both my armies. I mean, my first idea was to have some Prosperine Tagmata to work as allies with my Thousand Sons. But Mechanicum work just as well, if not better, with my Salamanders project, because the Sallies are based on Mazoa, which is a Forge World, and they've got tight links to the Mazoan Forge World. So it could be really interesting to explore mech. That's probably going to have to be just based upon their rules and how it goes. And I am a bit of a sucker for the Custodes. So with new models coming out, that might have to wait until I see the range. But yeah, Sally's for now is the answer. I just want to quick shout out to Baz in there as well. Hey Baz, can't wait for you to come down to Australia as well. And yeah, Very excited for Heresy right now. Hope everyone else is too. Oh, we've lost Tom. No. He did say he may have to jump out now and again, because that dad life is demanding sometimes. Kieran, any final thoughts before we sort of close up?
Just a general, like, how excited I am for Heresy, like, at the moment. Like we said in our latest episode that Tom's back. We've been waiting a long time for, some news and to see these models, and everything's been in a state of limbo for quite a while now. People can check out our previous episode for what we've been doing in the meantime and what we plan to do to get ready for the new edition. But yeah, I'm just overwhelmed with how much we saw today. It was way more than I ever expected. Nothing was worse than I thought it was going to be. And a lot of things were better than I expected. So yeah, in general, just feeling really positive about the Heresy. Can't wait to see the rules, have a read of them, and looking forward to getting some of that Mark II and just seeing the energy back in the community, seeing everyone's new projects, and just riding that train of the Heresy even further. Just really looking forward to it. Did you have a particular kind of highlight from the preview or from today?
I was just really impressed with the quality and quantity of the preview. The whole presentation itself was, like I said at the start of the stream, it was probably the best preview Games Workshop have run for Horus Heresy, which says a lot, I think. So yeah, that's great to see. The Sat 9 have softened on me. I've softened on the Sat 9 after seeing some more posability and some more angles of them as well. So I think I'll be able to cook with them once I got the sprues in the hand, just to sort of, see how I go with them. But yeah, I think my favorite was probably that Mark II Assault Marine. It just looked absolutely brutal.
I'm glad we agree on that, because we don't always agree on our favorite models, but yeah, I can't wait to get some of those.
That's part of the magic.
Yeah, for sure.
Tom is unfortunately dropping in and out. Oh, he's back. Tom, you're back. No, he's not back. Oh, no. I knew this live stream was just like way too good to be true for being first timers here.
Yeah.
We're gonna close it up there, I think. Tom, if you can hear us, really appreciate you coming on, man.
Yeah, we love you, bro.
Hope you can be a part of it again. Really great to have you guys be a part of it from the Merchant Princelings. This was Saturday Night Lodge, our panel show. So we're going to bring you these probably roughly every month ongoing, where we talk about the latest and the greatest in the Heresy, as well as, some other issues affecting the game and our philosophies on the hobby as well. So it'd be great to get more guests on from other places in the world as well, to get the inspiration for the Heresy at an all-time high. So again, chat, thanks for joining. It's been a pleasure. And
yeah, thanks so much. We've had a lot of people in there, a lot of great questions as well.
Yeah,
as well as some good banter as well. It'd be good. Yeah, and we've got more videos coming up as well. We've pre-recorded another one, as Adam was saying. It's about scaling and proportions in Heresy modeling. So look forward to that one coming out soon. And yeah, stick around.
That's it. Another one in the can. Bash.
Bash.
Hardcore Heresy.